The Indian Constitution isn't just a legal document, it's the living soul of our democracy. You could call it India's holy book of governance. It tells us how our country should run, how power should be used, and how every citizen should be protected and empowered. But the brilliance of our Constitution's makers lies in one thing: they knew it wasn't perfect. They understood that with time, India would evolve, and so must its constitution. That's why they built in the power to amend it. Since 1950, our constitution has been amended more than 100 times. Some amendments strengthened our democracy, others tested it. In this video, we explore 10 landmark constitutional amendments that didn't just change the law, they changed India itself. Welcome to Indian Masterminds. This was a turning point in India's federal structure. The States Reorganization Act 1956 reorganized Indian states along linguistic lines. It carved out states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and more from older provinces like Bombay and Madras. It also removed the old classification of states into A, B, C, and D, putting all states on equal footing. It gave us the modern map of India as we know it today. This amendment clipped the wings of the right to property, one of the original fundamental rights. It said that compensation for property acquired by the government would be decided by the legislature, not the courts. It sparked the historic Keswanand Bharti case, where the Supreme Court laid down the famous basic structure doctrine, declaring that certain core features of the Constitution cannot be amended no matter what. This judgment remains the ultimate check on legislative power. Often called the most controversial amendment, the 42nd Amendment was passed during the emergency. It gave sweeping powers to the government, weakened the judiciary, and made multiple drastic changes like increasing parliament and state assembly terms from 5 to 6 years. It tilted the power heavily in favor of the center, even tempered with the preamble by adding the words socialist and secular. It was democracy's darkest hour and the Constitution's biggest stress test. Post-emergency, this amendment was a correction. It rolled back many of the authoritarian provisions of the 42nd Amendment, especially those that curbed the power of the courts. It was Parliament's way of saying never again. If the 43rd Amendment was about healing, the 44th was about restoring. It re-established the original 5-year term for legislatures and reinstated key civil liberties. It also made it tougher to declare a national emergency, shifting that power from the Prime Minister alone to the entire cabinet. Ever heard of the phrase Aya Ram Gaya Ram? It comes from MLA Gayalal, who changed political parties 3 times in 2 weeks. To end this kind of political horse trading, the 52nd Amendment was passed. It disqualifies MPs and MLAs if they defect or vote against their party. It made loyalty a constitutional expectation, not just a moral one. This amendment made education a fundamental right for all children aged 6 to 14 under Article 21A. It put the onus on both parents and the state to ensure every child goes to school. It changed the way India thought about education, not as a privilege, but a right. It also led to policies like reserving seats in private schools for underprivileged children. This amendment revolutionized India's tax system by introducing the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, a single unified tax that replaced dozens of state and central taxes. Importantly, it also created the GST Council, ensuring that states still had a say in taxation. It was a big leap towards economic federalism while keeping India's unity intact. This amendment extended 10% reservation to economically weaker sections or EWS among the general category, shifting the focus from caste-based disadvantage to economic disadvantage. It was controversial and challenged in court, but upheld by the Supreme Court. It redefined the scope and philosophy of affirmative action in India. After decades of debate, this amendment was finally passed, the Women's Reservation Bill, reserving 1/3 of seats in parliament and state assemblies to women. This amendment is more than just policy. It's a historic shift in India's political landscape, pushing us closer to gender equality in governance. It echoes what has already been happening at the grassroots level through Panchayati Raj, now brought to the national stage. Every amendment we've seen here is a snapshot of India's journey, its struggles, ideals, and aspirations. Some were made in times of crisis, some in moments of hope. But each one reflects the spirit of a constitution designed not just to govern but to grow with its people. Thanks for watching Indian Masterminds. If this episode gave you a new perspective on our constitution, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments which amendment do you think had the biggest impact on India.